Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you who's to blame for the current Cavaliers mess.
And I'm Colin Cowherd, and I'll tell you if Tom Brady is about to surpass Michael Jordan. Speak for yourself starts now on a Wednesday.
Hump day.
I was confused on my show. I couldn't figure. It felt like Thursday.
It's Wednesday. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard and Colin's co-host on The Herd, Christine Leahy. Let's start with LeBron James, who joined the 30,000-point club last night, but even that couldn't stop the bleeding for the Cavaliers, who lost to the Spurs. Cleveland has now lost 10 of their last 13 and has been dealing with a ton of internal drama, which didn't get any better today, with Stephen A. Smith reporting or saying that Dan Gilbert wants to sell the team. All right, Cowherd, Cavaliers got a big mess on their hands. I actually think LeBron wants to be traded, but who do you blame here, LeBron or Dan Gilbert, for this mess?
I don't blame anybody. Dan Gilbert's going to sell it and make $1 billion. LeBron brought a title to Cleveland, and if you would have told everybody 4 years ago, listen, LeBron's coming back to Cleveland. They're going to get to 3 straight finals, bring a title to the city. What's the mess? Trees don't grow to the sky. We're ready for everybody to jump off. Dan Gilbert bought this thing for $300 million. He's going to sell it for $1.5 billion. He should sell it. I don't see a mess. I see capitalists all getting out of the fund at the perfect time.
You're a New England Patriots groupie. You love the Patriots, Bill Belichick, Bob Kraft. They've kept it together for damn near 2 decades. And we're supposed to be satisfied and, oh, LeBron came home and it went well for 4 years.
Hold on. This is a city that has not won, had not won a major championship in the city.
The
city. In 52 years.
Boston
he
wins
brought
all the
them
time.
the championship.
But
Colin's absolutely right. There is, look, this is some
4
drama.
years. That's all we were
Drama
supposed to
is
get.
chaos.
4
No.
years.
You take a championship, believe me.
I would.
Like Stephen A., I also have some news to report, and it's that LeBron James has started a Gofundme for his next secret project, which I'm guessing is to buy the Cavaliers so he can be the owner, the GM, the coach, and the player. Would you not be surprised if this happens one day?
I've said before, I wouldn't be surprised. I actually think there was a wink-wink when LeBron and Dan Gilbert sat down to make amends and LeBron agreed to go back to Cleveland. I wouldn't be surprised if there was a wink-wink that he's going to eventually buy.
Why is
everybody? LeBron does want to own an NBA
I would have
team.
hated to be on the playground with these guys because y'all play dodgeball very well. There was a specific more to blame, and the Cavaliers are a mess. Did we not just say they've lost, what, 10 of 13 games?
But how does that
they're
compare?
both to
They've been
blame.
to 3 straight finals and won 1.
By the way,
If we go,
They're both to
I
blame.
used to be skinnier too, Chris. Should we talk about that, or should we talk about my
there's
weight
80
problem right now? The Cavaliers have a problem
there's
right now.
82 games in a season. I mean, Boston's got a 4-game losing streak. So what? I'm not a big losing streak guy in the NBA because I think January is the hardest month in the NBA because it's right before the trading deadline.
It's right after Christmas.
No. It's right before the trading deadline. So players in the NFL doesn't have one of these to this level. So in the middle of the season, players start reading, you're going to be traded. You have to go home to your wife and say, kids, I'm going to be moving to Milwaukee. January is stress month in the NBA. And we're just seeing, by the way, Washington's falling apart and having team meetings.
Yeah, that's right. The Wizards.
Boston's on a losing streak. Lakers early January team meeting. Cleveland team meeting. Like, I mean, seriously, I just look at this and I'm like, Dan Gilbert's going to make $1 billion. LeBron's going to get a title of Cleveland. This is not a big mess to me.
They're both to blame, but I actually do blame Dan Gilbert more. And I actually think he should have sold the team right after the first championship because it would have been worth more money. Now whoever buys it is looking at, okay, LeBron's probably going to leave, so he's not going to make as much money off of it. But yes, Gilbert was in a hard position because he knew he wanted LeBron on the team because even if they're not going to win a championship, he still generates so much money for them.
Right.
But he also then became the most extreme enabler. He had to let LeBron have whatever he wanted, and LeBron created this team in this mess. So they both are helping each other, and they're both.
Couldn't I? You always say this on the show. You have a good line. You always say, happiness is directly connected.
Expectations.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. When couples get remarried again, divorced, 77% they get divorced. This was always a relationship bound to be quick. It really was. When you divorce somebody, it was very dramatic. They got remarried. That doesn't last forever.
Yeah, I'm going to go with it. I agree with you, Colin. You know what we say about couples who get married and divorced again?
What?
That's a mess. Hot mess. That is a hot mess. Those are two people that are a hot mess, and they're doing it again. This is a hot mess. Can we play the tape of Jay Crowder stepping over Kevin Love? Can we play that? Do we have that? We have that highlight? Yeah, here it is. Look, none of these guys are on the same page. This isn't a team. He looks down at him and steps over top of. You can't tell me this isn't a mess.
You know what else is a complete mess is that you've got Ty Lue saying that all these guys need to let go of their egos and their personal agendas, and you have LeBron writing a congratulatory message to himself before he even achieves anything. And I really think I figured it out why he did it. So yesterday morning, it came out that Kobe Bryant was nominated for an Academy Award. Very quickly after that is when LeBron wrote this message to himself. And I think he saw, which I think Kobe's message, the Dear Basketball thing, was really a love letter to himself.
Yeah.
And then I think LeBron saw that and was like, I got to get on this train. I'm going to start thanking myself. Maybe one day I can win an Oscar. And I want to take the attention away from Kobe and rise up on this day. And he didn't even care how it would affect the rest of his team or Ty Lue's message.
Away from Kobe.
Yes, of course.
Your mind is incredible.
I can see that.
Full of conspiracy theories.
I mean, he competes with MJ and Kobe. Why not?
Why does he compete?
He doesn't compete
I don't think he competes with Kobe.
It's
never LeBron or Kobe.
Above everybody else who's great.
Listen, I think there may be some truth there. That's not as crazy as you think.
The timing is just
But you all are not bothered at all. They just lost last night in embarrassing fashion, in my opinion. LeBron James plus minus in the fourth quarter, -8. The guy's not trying. Y'all don't, and he's celebrating this $30K deal as if
they should not have celebrated him becoming the 7th player ever to score 30,000 points. A regular season swoon that every team tends to go through, and this team has gone through it for the last 3 years.
In January.
They shouldn't celebrate 30,000 points because we lost the game?
Are we pretending like we haven't seen others have milestone moments?
We've seen 6.
No. I'm not just talking about, I'm talking about across sports and just not just points and everything. We've seen Peyton Manning break the passing yardage record. They stopped the game momentarily, but there's no wild celebration. There's no letter to himself. There's no you can't tell me this isn't bad form.
You're looking for reasons to pick on LeBron.
No,
that's all there is.
Guys,
you're making up crazy conspiracy theories.
Well, you got to remember, there are components today. I said this earlier today. Obama was the first president that dealt with social media. Trump's the second. Trump hasn't handled it particularly well. The social media component today, people pat themselves on the back a lot. People in the media retweet their own stuff. Look at me.
Didn't you once write that you should win a Pulitzer Prize?
And I should have.
But you wrote that. You're lucky we didn't have Speak for Yourself back then. We'd be roasting. You'd be roasting yourself.
I got roasted for it. I got roasted for it, and I got no problem with the people that roasted me.
Let's go back to your expectations. I think the only reason I'm not bothered by this Dan Gilbert selling it, and which I think is probably valid, the only reason I'm not bothered by it is my expectations on LeBron, Dan Gilbert 2 were like pretty low. Once he left them and came back, I was like, the goal is sort of to bring Cleveland one title. He did.
I got it, Mr. Dodgeball. You should be in the next Dodgeball movie. But answer the question, because you said it's a marriage that they've done again, and it's ended in divorce and your expectations. But within that relationship, one of the partners is more to blame than the other. One's crazier than the other. I'll answer the question. I think LeBron James, more so than Dan Gilbert, is to blame. LeBron James, to me, wants to be traded. I don't think he's playing that hard.
Why do you think he wants to be traded?
Yeah, because I think he wants out of there. I really do.
Yeah. Why doesn't he just go to them and say, you know what, I'm leaving this summer. You should trade me.
Because I think he's doing it in every other way possible. Hey, we just lost the game, but I'm going to celebrate my individual accomplishment.
They can't just up and trade him.
Yeah.
He's got a no-trade clause. So they have to work together. If he really wants to be traded,
who does LeBron work together with? besides Rich Paul and Maverick Carter. Nobody in the NBA.
You're asking
he
me,
creates
He didn't work
situations.
together with Dwayne Wade. They won 2 championships.
By the way, and it should be noted, even in the Dwayne Wade relationship, and that's his best friend, right? Like, isn't that's
In the
his-
NBA.
Okay, even in that relationship, LeBron is.
Yeah, he bounced out of Miami without telling him.
Yeah,
Rode
and
on
by
a
the way,
plane
he
back
left
with
Pat
him
Riley
didn't
and
tell him.
Dwayne Wade.
Yeah.
Listen, my expectations for this whole thing was, could they win a title? Did. I'm out. This was a second marriage.
Colin,
I've never
I'm
thought.
going to ask you one more time. Who's more to blame?
Dan Gilbert. Because he's the reason. LeBron, he's really the reason. Remember, when he owned the team and LeBron left, they drafted Anthony Bennett with a #1 pick. They were a mess. By the way, the 4 years LeBron left Cleveland, they were 97-215. Then it was Dan's franchise. Then LeBron came back and they go to the finals. So when LeBron's left them, they've been a grease fire twice.
Okay,
LeBron comes back, there's some drama.
Let me ask you another. Do you think LeBron's playing as hard as he possibly can right now? You think he's giving his all?
Yeah, because he wants to win MVP.
No, I really don't. Because he's not going to win MVP the way this team is playing. Because we've seen LeBron with less talent in Cleveland win 55, 60 games with less talent.
Now
He's not playing as
He's a lot
hard.
younger guy then.
Yeah.
He can't play defense to the level that he used to. He just can't.
But we've been making the argument he's having his best season.
Last year.
Offensively, some people have said that. Look, to answer your question, I agree with Christine. Dan Gilbert is to blame because he is the final say. If he lets LeBron come in and take control of his franchise, he's still to blame. That's his fault. You didn't have to let this player come and do what he wants. You chose to, and by the way, you're going to make $1 billion by doing it. So I think Dan Gilbert would sign up for this 4 years ago if you had told him this is how it's going to end. It could end ugly.
We watched the NFL this year. You know, we think these billionaires, they got it all buttoned up. We saw a lot of billionaires.
Who thinks billionaires have it buttoned up?
I watch all these owners. They're often, Jerry Jones is often the biggest problem with the Cowboys.
I completely disagree with that.
Welcome back, Chris Broussard, Christine Leahy here. Let's move to the Warriors, who got a win over the Knicks last night, but not before Kevin Durant was ejected after getting 2 techs in the second half for arguing with the Zebras. After the game, Durant offered an interesting explanation for getting tossed.
Well, the first half, I was drilling up on the right side. I made a left to right cross. He said I carried. You kind of let that go. He said, I asked him, where did he get the carry from? He said, I froze the defender. I said, that's what a crossover is for. And that's why I do it, to freeze my defender. And he tried to make a bunch of excuses, and I told him he was wrong. And he went to halftime probably with an attitude. So second half, his whole thing was like he's trying to get me. So look at my first tech. I got the rebound, and I dribbled the ball hard, and he teched me up. He was searching for me. He looking to try to take me up to get me back because he's still in his feelings from the first half. That's what's been going on around the league the whole year. It's a bunch of that.
Kevin, before the second technical foul, Draymond was trying to pull you away while he's trying to like calm you down or something like that.
Yeah, the irony. Yeah. I was not trying to hear that.
All right, Durant since apologized, said he acted like a jerk last night. Either way, the Warriors lead the league in ejections this year, with Durant earning by himself 4 times his career total coming into the year. Whitlock, are you losing a little respect for the Warriors?
Yeah, I actually am. I think they're spoiled and petulant. I think that when you are so much more talented than everybody else in the NBA, and it doesn't matter whether you're on the court or not, your team can survive without you, you start acting out. And they don't mind. Kevin Durant knows he can get ejected and the team will be just fine. I think it's affected Steph Curry. He went from the lovable underdog to now the highest paid player in the league, and a bit of a, his personality to me is different. And so I just think it's just too much success, and the game is too easy. They don't take the regular season as seriously as teams used to because they just don't have to. And so they're into bickering with the refs and anybody that questions anything they do on the court.
Yeah, I don't lose respect because I'm just used to drama, okay? The big 3, Rondo, drama. Shaq and Kobe, drama. Michael Jordan and management, drama. Then Michael Jordan left, Scottie Pippen gun issues, wouldn't check in Phil Jackson, drama. And then LeBron's teams in Miami, drama. LeBron's team in Cleveland, drama. Golden State Warriors, drama. The best team in the league.
Bickering with the refs. Michael Jordan and all these other
No, I
teams.
mean, the question is, do I lose respect? Anytime a team becomes the team in the league, basketball is a worship sport. You're worshipped. You're thrown gear. They make logos and shoes after you. Egos take precedent. And what I see what's happening to Golden State is they find the officials beneath them and tedious. How can you officiate us? We are the Golden State Warriors.
So you really think that Durant knew he was going to get ejected and was kind of egging it on last night
I
because he knew he could?
I think, look, when you're so important to your team that I can't get ejected or we'll lose this game, you're going to back off and not be as aggressive with the refs. I don't think he's sitting there going, I know they're going to throw me out. I just think he knows I can be more aggressive because the team's fine without me.
Him bouncing the ball really hard doesn't look at something that would be a technical at all. I don't think he had any intention of getting ejected or even that was on his radar, which is why he was upset about it after the game.
Been ejected
and usually
4 times this year.
This year, but prior to that, only 1 time in his entire career in the regular season. But hold on. So a guy who gets ejected after the game, when you see him in his press conference, he's usually really angry and fired up. That's the kind of guy. Did you listen to his press conference afterwards? He was so calm. He was smiling. He was making a joke. He's not an angry type of guy. These are just
He did apologize today for being a jerk.
Yeah, because he's the bigger person.
Have you lost respect for the Patriots?
Have I
Bill
lost?
Belichick and the New England Patriots.
No, I don't see him getting tossed out of games.
Okay, getting tossed out of games is worse than cheating, Spygate, Deflategate. I mean, I'm just saying.
Again,
losing respect is a strong statement.
Yeah.
Well, again, first keep in mind, I love the Warriors. I've always kind of admired the Patriots, but I'm not that into the Patriots. And so again, when I don't like the way they behave on the court and getting tossed out of games. I see people coming out of character. Kevin Durant for 1, Steph Curry for 2. They all are becoming little baby Draymond Greens, and it's because they can.
But I would say Kevin Durant is the one kind of acting differently. Steph hasn't acted differently. He's the same old Steph. And he's the face of the team.
And so when Steph Curry came into the league under Mark Jackson, was he throwing his mouthpiece at refs and things like that?
That was last year and maybe the year before, not this year. Draymond Green is doing what Draymond Green has always done.
Been a jerk.
Kevin Durant is the only one who's acting different. And I haven't lost respect for him. I'm a little disappointed because this is a guy in Oklahoma City. You know, you were nothing like this.
Yeah.
You know, and not that it's the worst thing in the world, but you see he curses a lot more in his language.
Yeah.
It's almost the guy who, when he was by himself, is the man. He was timid and quiet and a nice guy. Now you got the big boys behind you, and you got the toughest dudes around you, and now you sticking out your chest and jumping back. That's what it looks like to me.
But at the same time, when he was with Oklahoma City and when he started with the Warriors, we were all on him for being too nice and not having enough dog in him. So now that he does,
I don't know.
No, I wasn't either. But there's a lot of media that were on him for not having the dog in him.
By the way, if you look at what the media does, so we've just told Golden State for the last 5 years, you know, they're early adapters. They're smarter than everybody. Silicon Valley's smarter than everybody. The Warriors adapted the three-point. We've made them American royalty. Oh, what a shock. Now they're arrogant. We created it because we built them up
by winning.
No. It wasn't just winning. It's they created a revolution. Three-point shot I watched the NBA for 40 years. 5 years ago, the whole league changed. And we're crediting what did their owners say?
Exactly.
We are so far ahead of the league. And
light years. He said light years.
So all of a sudden we're like, yeah, the smartest guy. This is the Enron thing. Remember the movie about Enron? The smartest guys in the room. We've told the Warriors they're so engaged. They're so socially adept at political issues. Well, what a shock. Now they're buying their own hype.
Again, to me, though, what they did, they added Kevin Durant to an already championship caliber team.
Yeah.
And that, to me, has changed the personality of Durant and Steph Curry. The team's not as likable or as fun. They're constantly bickering with the refs. They're condescending to the refs. It makes me lose a little respect for them. I liked them again, before Kevin Durant was there, but now that it's so easy for him, I see a condescending arrogance.
Steph threw his mouthpiece before Durant got there. That was in the finals.
But could
Draymond got ejected for calling
Draymond's
LeBron
always
the
been
B-word.
Draymond.
Couldn't you argue, though, they have gone from fun to full of themselves a little?
I think, look, I think Kevin Durant's addition they're not as fun to watch. As great as he is, Steph Curry used to put on light shows every night.
Right.
Now he doesn't get to do that because Durant's there and you got so much talent. That's what I miss. But I think personality-wise, only Durant's the one that's changed.
Well, it's fun to watch teams like the Cavs sometimes because there's so much drama going on and they have so many egos. With the Warriors, they don't. They all share. Neither one of them has to be the man, and there's really no drama.
Well, but
so
the ejections are a story. I mean, they literally are. They have more. Durant's got more ejections than most of the teams, so something is changing a little. I mean, I covered Rasheed Wallace, who was Mr. Technical for a decade. I covered him for years.
Very entertaining.
Wildly entertaining. But that was Rasheed's persona. Okay, Durant persona, something has tweaked. Yeah. He didn't do this 2 years ago. Welcome back, Chris Broussard, founder of the league, Jason McIntyre. Let's return to the NBA, where the All-Star reserves were announced yesterday. Interesting twist. Victor Oladipo made the cut once he got rid of Westbrook, while the guy he was traded for, Paul George, didn't. George's teammate Russell Westbrook made it clear he wasn't happy and took shots at the Warriors and Damian Lillard in the process.
Unbelievable. I think it's just outrageous in my opinion. I think, you got, I don't know who else made the team, but I know got guys, 4 people from one team, got guys, complaining about getting snubbed until they get in. You got guys that, just talking about it all the time, but the guys that deserve it should be in it. It's not, I just don't understand.
Whitlock, is it outrageous the Thunder's Paul George was snubbed?
No, it's not remotely outrageous. He didn't belong on the All-Star team. OKC's not having near the success people thought they were. Paul George's shooting percentage has gone from, I think, 46, 47% to 43%. He's averaging about 4 less points. He's not an all-star. And it really goes to your point. It's hard to be an all-star playing next to Russell Westbrook.
I think your point's right on. If I said to you, how was Paul George's first half? We would say, little disappointing.
No, disappointing. I wouldn't say little.
So in the West, that's not an all-star. I mean, to me, that really, to your point, is if you just took a macro view and say, hey, how did that Paul George thing work out? You'd be like, it's not been great. He's not an all-star. He's a 20-point, 43% shooter.
Full disclosure, you're a Pacers fan.
Yeah.
He's a Pacers fan.
I am.
All right.
I am a Pacers fan.
So, look, if Paul George had been on the team instead of Draymond Green, I wouldn't have raised the ruckus. And I'm not raising the ruckus that he's not. Draymond is having a great year.
He is.
I think Paul George, 43% shooting, but 43% from 3 as well. 21 points a game. This is a team that's won 9 of their last 12. They're playing much better basketball.
They are.
They might be able to make some noise in the Western Conference playoffs, but here's the deal. This is where I do agree with you. You're getting what you asked for. You wanted out of the East. If he had been in the East, he'd been an all-star. Right. No question. He probably retired as a 10-time all-star if he stayed in the East.
Right.
Now you come West. It's a lot tougher, and it's only going to get tougher.
Right.
Whether he goes to the Lakers or stays in Oklahoma, guess what? What if LeBron joins the West? What about when Andrew Wiggins, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell come of age? What about when Blake Griffin is healthy, Chris Paul is healthy? I mean, Kawhi Leonard is healthy. You may never make the All-Star team in the West. As good as you are, Paul George, this is what you asked for. Now, deal with it.
Oh, no, it's the end of the world, Chris. He didn't make the All-Star team. He's on a Thunder team contending in the West. They could go to the Western Conference Finals.
All year.
Well, I have been, but they could still get it together.
For the sake of your argument?
Chris, what matters more? What matters more? Getting to the All-Star game, being on the Indiana Pacers, getting swept in the first round by LeBron or the Celtics, or being on the Thunder where you could go to the Western Conference Finals?
You want both.
You can't always have your cake and eat it, Chris. You know, I would rather play for a contender, obviously, even in a Paul George ancillary role.
For what, the second round?
Do you think they're going out that early?
Hey,
yeah.
McIntyre, let me ask you something. is it outrageous Paul George was an all-star?
No, it's not.
That was the
It's
question.
not outrageous. I was so fired up by Broussard's response. No, I don't think it's outrageous. The West is loaded. Welcome to the West, you know. Kyle Kuzma is going to be a potential all-star for the next decade.
I think what we're seeing in the NBA now, and let me give players credit. Kevin Durant knew, I'm going to get fewer shots. Steph said, come on, Durant. I'm not going to be the centerpiece. Paul George is like, I'm going to go west, where I'm not going to get as many shots. The new NBA player, I know we see him as selfish and divas, but Paul George isn't complaining about this.
Chris Paul complaining about this?
All these players.
They don't think players want to be all-stars.
I'm not saying they don't, but Paul George isn't having a fit over this.
It's Colin. Paul George is 25, 26 years old. I think he's from this area.
LA.
I believe the All-Star game is here.
Yeah.
Do we think Paul George in his hometown, he wants to play for the Lakers, he didn't want to come back here and be a star? Do you think Russell Westbrook is making this statement if he didn't know Paul George wasn't upset? His star has been diminished.
Yep.
He's been, you know, this may not be true, but the perception is like, oh, you got exposed. We had you at a level in Indiana that you go to OKC and you're not. And guess what? And I guarantee you, throughout it, All-Star game back and the parties I'm gonna throw, the things I'm gonna do and blah. And now you ain't even playing in the game. He is irate, but he got exactly what's coming to him. He wanted out of Indiana. He was too good for Indiana.
You know, it's funny. You say, like, because Paul George had never been great in crisis. His fourth quarter numbers weren't great.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think Paul George, like, my feel was when he went to OKC, he'd be their second best player. And he is their second best player.
But I bet you it never crossed his mind that he wouldn't make the All-Star team.
Yeah, because nobody's sitting here thinking
you
about
say
the
players
All-Star
want to
game.
win. Players want to be all-stars.
Oh, gosh.
I was playing Little League. I wanted to be an all-star.
We all did. He's been to 4 All-Star games, Chris.
This is about your legacy.
My mind is blown.
When they consider you for the Hall of Fame, they look at your all-star appearances. Don't think this now, Carmelo Anthony, who's in his 15th year, who's clearly on the
Chris,
decline.
let me break it down a little bit more for you.
Paul George cares, and he should care.
Let me break it down a little, because I think it's like, Michael Wilbon described this 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago. NBA All-Star Weekend is like Black Thanksgiving. And when you are black, you want to be, as a fan, you want to be at the All-Star game, and as a player, it's one of the great weekends, other than the Las Vegas deal, it's one of the great weekends in the calendar that you can have. And so you can't sit here and tell me Paul George in his hometown where he says he wants to play for the Lakers, I just don't know anybody black that doesn't want to be in the All-Star game.
By the way, you say, is it outrageous?
Just a player in general.
Yeah.
Is it outrageous he was a snub? No, he's a 43% 20-point-a-game guy. That's not an All-Star in the West. It's close. But that, I don't think it's,
We all agree.
Yeah, it's
He's
not
been diminished.
What I like is Russell Westbrook being the great teammate. Coming out and recruiting. I love what Westbrook did.
All right, we're joined now by Hall of Famer Eric Dickerson and Super Bowl champ Greg Jennings. Let's move to Tom Brady, who is getting ready for yet another Super Bowl after putting up the best season ever by a 40-year-old quarterback. Brady's already won a record 5 Super Bowls and pretty much cemented his status as the NFL's GOAT. But chasing his 6th championship has drawn an interesting parallel to a GOAT from another sport, Michael Jordan. A win in the Super Bowl would tie him with MJ for titles, and he's played in more title games already, though Jordan has the edge in MVPs, both regular season and postseason. Cowherd, would another Super Bowl make Brady as more accomplished than Michael Jordan?
No, I always think Jordan's going to be bigger. First of all, Jordan's relevance socially, in clothing, in shoes, in worship.
TB12.
Basketball's a global game. Football's a domestic game. Jordan is a global icon. He's Pele. He's Messi. I think he's so relevant. I mean, good God, baseball players wear his logo. His logo is more popular than the NBA logo.
Football players wear
So I think Jordan will always be bigger. I mean, even his wardrobe, what he wore to the games. The other thing about Brady, as much as I love Brady, I know they're not winning all these games without Belichick. I just know it. Because I watch situationally how good their red zone defense is with marginal personnel.
Bill Jackson?
I'm always going to give Brady credit. But I'll never, ever deny, had you put Carson Palmer in there and you put Tom in Cincinnati, Tom, you could have put Michael Jordan in a lot of places in his prime.
Doug Collins had him in his prime, didn't win titles. You know, it took Phil Jackson to get Jordan. I tend to agree with you, although you broaden the conversation. We're just talking about more accomplished, not a bigger brand, not more influential globally. As accomplished, just so when do Jordan's 6 NBA titles, would they compare to a football quarterback who's won 6 NFL titles? I think it's harder to win NFL titles.
I agree with you there.
Than NBA titles.
I agree with you there.
I'll say this about Jordan, though. Again, it's easier for one individual to influence a basketball team than it is for a quarterback. So Jordan's probably more responsible for those 6 titles than Jordan. But
I do agree with your take, though. Football, because of the regulated violence, I mean, good Lord. Jordan didn't lose Pippen in the finals. Brady lost Gronk last year. He lost Edelman and Hightower and Gronk this year. You got to give him credit for that. Brady's always losing stars.
Give him credit or give Belichick credit?
Well,
we sound like brothers over here. Because I think what Brady and Belichick has done is it's a match made in heaven. But to answer the question, absolutely not. It won't make him more accomplished. Jordan never lost. Case closed. Checkmate. Done.
Greg,
every time.
Let me just ask you to clarify it. What sport is harder?
I believe that getting to the Super Bowl.
But no. Football's just a harder game.
It is.
Harder to win than in basketball.
I agree 100%. But what Jordan was able to do, I mean, when you look at the guys that he stopped and prevented from getting NBA titles, the teams that he beat, Karl Malone and John Stockton right now are looking like, man, I would have had so many. The Knicks, Patrick, all these guys are looking like I would have.
Couldn't I make the argument that Peyton Manning and the Colts should have won 4 more Super Bowls?
But he got them.
He got one in Indy.
And then he got another one in Denver. So, I mean, he still got it. But you can't say that this one guy would have accomplished more. No, Jordan would, what he was able to do with the guys around him, like, don't get me wrong, coaches and players, they make a match, they do it together. But Jordan, by far, with the level that he played at and his ability to do it without ever losing,
I think Whitlock
done.
Convinced
Well,
me
Jordan played, think about it, he played offense and defense. He could play guard, shooting for. He probably played center. He'd probably play center if he put him there. So I'd have to say for sure, it's Michael Jordan. It's no doubt, because you think about Tom Brady. What other position can Tom Brady play other than quarterback? Quarterback. That's it. Nothing else. I mean, because you think about basketball, I think about Jordan. Jordan can play pretty much any position on the court.
He also played defense. Brady doesn't have to play defense.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have to play defense.
I'm sitting here blown away, though, talking to 2 great football players that don't believe, like, no, what we do in football is so much harder than what they do in basketball.
That's a different question.
But don't you add in degree of difficulty?
No, I guess for me, I look at the grand scheme of everything. So when you look at Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, can you take another quarterback and say they could have still done this? Yes.
6 titles, another quarterback could have done what
Aaron Rodgers, you fill in there. Drew Brees, you can put in there. Yeah, I'm telling you, you can't take another. You can't take another player and put him in that Bulls uniform and say, yeah, they would have still won 6 without ever losing.
I'll say this. In my era, you think about Joe Montana was the greatest quarterback. But I'm going to tell you who's I think the greatest athlete and possibly could have been the greatest quarterback was John Elway. John Elway could run, he could throw, but that system in San Francisco fit Joe Montana. That was not a system for John Elway, because John Elway was athletic, just like Aaron Rodgers is. He can throw, he can run, he can do it all.
I will say this, though. Your point's interesting, and it kind of shifts the way I'm thinking, because the thing about football, to beat LeBron or Michael, you got to beat them 4 times in 2 weeks. So Michael can have a bad night, and had many. Michael had that Utah series. Michael had bad nights. Tom has a bad half. They're down 28-3. Tom has had to be great at some point in every Super Bowl win. He doesn't get a bad night. LeBron's had bad back-to-back. Larry Bird in the playoffs went 8 points, 8 points.
Colin,
you can't do that in football.
Colin, Tom's first 2 Super Bowl, was he that guy?
Nope.
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 Nope. Was he the guy?
Good point.
Absolutely
Jordan
not.
was the guy.
Jordan was the guy.
I'm going to go back to just one last time to plead with y'all, because I've always had this arrogance about football. It's like, this ain't for everybody, man. My mother could go play basketball when she was 17, 18 years old. She couldn't step on a football field. Football is for a rare individual. The degree of difficulty, just the
psychology.
How hard it is, the preparation, what you have to deal with, the pain you have to play with. I think we may be shorting Brady a little bit.
But you still have to think about the position you're talking about, quarterback, the protected position. Even in practice, think about practice. You got that yellow jersey on, that red. Hey, Eric! Hey, don't touch the quarterback. Don't touch the quarterback.
Let me just say this, though. Who was the MVP in those first Patriot Super Bowls?
Kicker or something.
No.
I can't remember who.
Brady got one. So he was pretty good.
Look,
MVP in the Super Bowl.
Did Troy Brown win a Super Bowl? I mean, one of the MVPs? I mean, he played 2 ways. They were defensive mindset when it came to their Deion Branch won one.
Yeah.
Troy Brown played. He was their nickel corner
and receiver.
Like it wasn't about Tom Brady.
I keep saying it's the system.
To another accomplished guy, Bill Belichick, who has guided the Patriots back to the Super Bowl despite off-field drama, early woes on defense, several key injuries. Doug Pederson, though, has had to overcome some major losses of his own. Tight end Zach Ertz saying Philly has, quote, an all-pro team on IR, including Carson Wentz. Whitlock, to you, who's done a more impressive job this year, Belichick or Doug Pederson?
I debated this morning when we put it up, and I almost regret putting it up because, to me, there's only one side of this argument. One guy lost the MVP, the quarterback of his team, and still has him here. It's got to be Doug Pederson.
I think it's Belichick. Now, think about this. He has both coordinators leaving. He has to deal with the most extensive, controversial piece written about an owner, coach, and quarterback. By the way, just a month ago. This didn't drop in week 2. So as they come down the stretch, they've got a major controversy, which, by the way, they issued statements to, so it was affecting the team. I've got 2 coordinators. Then I get into the AFC Championship. I'm in the 4th quarter. I can't run. I trail. And there's no Gronk. And I've got Danny Amendola against the best defense in the AFC. That is unbelievable. Doug Pederson, Minnesota's coming off that miracle win. Minnesota wasn't even ready to.
MVP of the league, man, and played quarterback. Ask Bill Belichick, hey, would you rather deal with some articles from ESPN or losing Tom Brady?
Those are very daunting. Journalism is a very rough obstacle.
When I look at this, you say you added this year. This year, we can get caught up into what Doug Pederson has been able to do. But again, when you're looking at greatness, you can't just dummy it down to 1 year.
Well,
like we can look, but even for this year though, I still will go with Bill Belichick. The reasons being, we've seen what he's been able to do with Gronk, without Gronk, with Julian Edelman, without. This is when you think about what the Patriots have done. They brought Brandon Cooks over because they know injuries happen. They've always prepared. He's always thinking beyond what could happen. He's, regardless of how we look at them, even with Garoppolo, even let's say Belichick stays, he's game planning something right now. Like he's always a step ahead of his opponent. Winning Super Bowls, we've watched them last year. It wasn't so much what the players did. I've outcoached you. He's outcoached the opponent. Bottom line, Belichick.
Well, I think what the question is that, for this year, and I'd have to go Doug Pederson because you think about when Carson Wentz was possibly the MVP if he wouldn't have got hurt. I think everybody would agree if the injury wouldn't have took place. But he did get hurt. Now he has Nick Foles, a quarterback that at one point wanted to stop playing football after playing for the St. Louis Rams because that's how bad it was. And you have a quarterback now that dismantled possibly, people saying the best defense in the National Football, the Minnesota Vikings. They made them look like the Cleveland Browns. So it goes to show that, look, as a coach for this year, right now, he's got a lot of injuries. I mean, he's got the tackle hurt, Pederson. He's got Sproles hurt. He's got one of his best special teams guys hurt. He's got his quarterback hurt. Like I said, they got a lot of guys they could make the Pro Bowl on IR. So you have to look at right now. In the long run, as for his belly, almost definitely. That's easy. But for right now, for what he's done, for getting ready for this game, and think about it, they're the underdog the whole playoff. They're 13-3 also. This is a good football team.
Belichick lost Gronk Sunday, Hightower, his best defensive player.
Exactly.
Julian Edelman, the best slot receiver in the league. So they're both losing Pro Bowlers. Like, I think the injuries even out. I just think the layers of controversy, coordinators leaving, that's a lot. You can say it doesn't matter. I've seen it unravel teams.
Kyle, at the beginning of the playoffs, you thought the Patriots would make the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
At the beginning of the playoffs, what do you think the Eagles were going to do with Nick Foles?
Not as good.
There you go.
But does that have to do with coaching, or was it based on Nick Foles' play and performance?
I think it's coaching too, because Doug Pederson, what he did after the last game, the Cowboys game, he said, okay, I'm going to go back and look at what made Nick Foles good in 2014 when he was a Pro Bowl quarterback. Look and what works for him. Not what works for Carson Wentz, but what works for him. And that's what has made him play.
I agree with that.
He's not playing Carson Wentz's game. He's playing a game that makes him feel comfortable.
Yeah, now I do think there's one thing. Remember Nick Foles' first couple games when he took over? He was awful. You got to give Pederson credit. Like, Nick, this wasn't seamless. This was really ugly for 2 weeks.